Graders, you need 4 things for today. One is your book. Second is pencil eraser. Third is your paper plate clock. The fourth thing that you need is scissors. So go ahead and grab some scissors in addition to the usual things. All right, guys, what we're going to do is go through today's work. We have lesson 9.7, time to the half hour. The last couple of days you've been working on time to the hour. Today we're doing time to the half hour. So circle 4, 5, or between 4 and 5 to describe the time shown on the clock. So I'm going to actually lower my camera here a little bit so that we can see really well what we're getting on this particular clock. All right. So when you look here really close, you can see that that hour hand, the turtle, is pointing straight at the 4. So there you circle 4. When you look down at the next one, do you see here's the 5? It's not really pointing straight at the 5. When you compare it to this one down here, this one's pointing straight at the 5, so you could circle the 5. But when you look at this one, right about here would be straight at the 5, and right about here would be straight at the 4. This one is in between 4 and 5, so circle in between 4 and 5. I want to add in one more thing. We often don't do much with this math talk down here, but using before and after to describe the time shown on the middle clock. So this one right here, take a look at it. If we were using before, which time would we say that it's before? We would say that it's before 5 o'clock, right? It hasn't gotten to 5 o'clock yet. Which time would we say that it's after? Well, it's after 4 o'clock, right? It's not 4 o'clock anymore. It's gone past 4 o'clock. It's after 4 o'clock now. All right, purple box on the next page. This is where we're going to be set for most of the work that we're doing today. As an hour passes, the hour hand moves from one number to the next. So, of course, in your book, they can't actually move that, but you guys have a handy-dandy little clock here. Ooh, and mine is really glowy. All right, let's see here. Oh, boy. There. You can see here the turtle is pointing at the 9. And then as it goes to 10, it doesn't go straight from 9 straight over to 10, right? It's not like it stays at 9 until it's 10 o'clock and then it just jumps over to 10. You guys have probably watched the clocks in the classroom enough to notice that these hands, they keep moving slowly, steadily, the same pace all around, just like the turtle, right? The turtle didn't go jumping from one spot to another in the pond. The turtle just kept slowly, steadily moving from one place to another. Boys and girls, we interrupt this video about math for a very important announcement. Do you remember any time you're looking at a time in your book, doing your book, you want to make sure you're also putting that time on your paper plate clock, because it's so important, even though this is not a very challenging one, to get that extra practice where if it's going to show 3:30, you're actually making your clock show 3:30. We want to make sure we get lots of extra practice with this so that when we get to the harder things, our foundation here is really firm and strong. So on our clocks in our books, we kind of have to imagine that happening because obviously these hands can't just magically move for us. So when a half hour has passed, the hour hand goes halfway from one number to the next one. So when you look right here, you can see it's gone past the 7, but it hasn't gotten to the 8 yet. It is half past 7 o'clock. So that's what you're going to be looking at down here with these. Here, is that hour hand pointing straight at the 1, straight at the 2, or in between? It's in between, so you're going to write half past, and not 2. It hasn't gone past 2 o'clock yet. It's not there yet. It's gone past 1 o'clock, half past 1 o'clock. Same thing here. It's half past something. Half past, half past. 2 pages here. Now, they're not going to be doing anything tricky to you guys on this one. They're not doing anything where they're mixing it up and maybe it's 2 o'clock, maybe if it's half past 2 o'clock. It is always a half past on this page. But watch to make sure. Is this half past 10 o'clock or half past 9 o'clock? Make sure you're thinking about how the hour hand goes around so that you know this one is half past 9 o'clock. not 10 o'clock. Then last page, Tim plays soccer at 9 o'clock. He eats lunch at 1 o'clock. He sees a movie at 2 o'clock. So look at the clock and write what Tim does. So when the clock shows this time right here, is Tim playing soccer at that time? Is he eating lunch at that time? Or is he seeing a movie at that time? So you're going to write Tim plays soccer, or Tim eats lunch, or Tim sees a movie. Whichever one of these three it is that he's doing at this time here on the clock, write that down. Here's the hot problem. Tyra has a piano lesson at 5 o'clock. The lesson ends at 5:30. How much time is Tyra at her lesson? Circle your answer. Hour or half hour? Girls, this is where your clock might be a little bit helpful. Here we can set it up to 5, and then we can make our clock show 5:30. So take a look. When it goes from 5 to 5:30, is that going a whole hour or part way of an hour? So take a look. Here's the 5 o'clock hour. Here's the 6 o'clock hour. Does it go the whole way from 1 hour to the next hour, or does it only go part way, halfway from 1 hour to the next hour? And test prep last one. This one you should be able to figure out. What time is it? 5:30, 5 o'clock, 4:30, or 4 o'clock. All right, boys and girls, last part is to start getting our paper plate clock ready for tomorrow's work. So this is not something that has to be done for today. This is starting for tomorrow so that we don't have quite as much to do tomorrow. Today we're going to start making flaps in this paper plate clock. So be really careful. You're not cutting on the black lines. Instead, you're cutting in between the numbers. And I cut them down to about here where the plate starts to go flat. So I've done between the 12 and the 1, and between the 1 and the 2. Now I'm going to look here. Here's my line for 2 and my line for 3. So I want to go right in between them at about where the half past spot would be. And I'm going to cut down to where my plate starts getting flat. Same thing here now. I'm going to go between the 3 and the 4 at about the 3:30 spot and cut down to where my plate starts getting flat, so that I have little flaps here on my plate, like that. So we're going to do that all the way around the plate so that each number is on a flap that we can lift up separately. All right, first graders, not only did you do today's work, you got a little bit done in preparation for tomorrow, when we're going to start adding in the part that can get a little extra complicated, which is where we start adding in the minutes. So they're not giving you too much. For first grade, they don't throw it all at you at once, but we are going to get started with it. And again, the more we can build a foundation with these simpler first grade things, the easier it's going to be in second grade to go, oh, yeah, I know that. And then every time you see a clock, an analog face clock, not a digital clock, every time you see one, it'll reinforce for you, oh, yeah, I know this stuff. I know the direction that the turtle goes around. I can tell the direction between the turtle hand and the snake hand. And then you'll be all set for second grade telling time.